Legionnaires of the Lariat, it is I, your benevolent host for this recap show, Mr. Showtime, Michael Wright. We have a great recap ready for you guys for Forbidden Door, the door that is becoming less forbidden every day. With me, as always, is my tag team partner, stevezapf. Steven, how we doing?
I'm excited for this one. I was kind of pleasantly surprised once we got about halfway through this pay-per-view, so a little bit less than halfway.
To me, 3 matches. Match 3 is when this pay-per-view
Well,
really started.
three matches on the main card. Truthfully, if we count the pre-show, we're about halfway through this pay-per-view.
Yeah, fair enough. And the first thing I want to do is I want to throw a ton of shade at Bleacher Report for ending this early and then not posting it until the next day. So I was in the middle of the TNT ladder match and then had to wait till 2 p.m. the next day to even consider watching. That's Bush League stuff. Get it together, guys. But without, I don't want to belabor that point.
Bleacher Report, hashtag Bush League.
Bush League. I mean, come on, let's. You're better. You need to be better than this. You might not be better than this, but you need to be better than this.
You should be better than this.
I won't belabor the point there. I believe if you were like us, you had the same issue, so I don't want to commiserate. Let's talk about what we really came here to talk about. Something that I was really excited about because I haven't really seen too much of his stuff in the past was MJF versus Hechicero. Really, this match left a little bit more to want here, Steven. So what do you think?
I thought the match was okay. It was okay. Like, that's where we're at. It wasn't a bad match. So we got an MJF win in this. The match lasted just under 10 minutes. We have it clocked in at 9 minutes and 50 seconds. One of the things that I wasn't super thrilled about, and I know this is big for you, Showtime, is the match seemed slow.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be a lot faster. I was thinking the same thing.
At least a little faster. Like, I felt like it didn't necessarily need to be like a lucha libre fast type match, but I think they needed a step or two faster on some of their stuff. It wasn't like slow in the sense that they were letting things marinate. It just seemed labored.
All this match really was to me was a way to get MJF on the card, a way to put him over. It was his hometown in Nassau. It felt a little forced and a little disappointing that this was the first match, to be honest. I think when we were doing the prediction show, I think my prediction was it was going to be either the Elite versus Scissor Ace, or maybe was it the Saber Cassidy match? I can't remember what my other one was.
I think so.
Because I really thought it was going to be the Elite versus Scissor Ace to open this one up. And, it was just a quick one, a terrible attempt at crowd surfing, a great Ric Flair strut, a little bit of Rick Rude in there, which was, I like those throwbacks. But it was really just a way to get MJF onto the card without putting on a great match. I expected more. I wanted to be faster. I wanted this to be more harder hitting. Would have loved to see MJF cut a 20-minute promo like I was really expecting. And it just kind of, I don't know, fell flat to me. I was really disappointed after this one, and the next match didn't really help all that much.
So one of the notes I have for this match too is it feels very much like there was no emotion in the match. And again, I know I've made the joke on the last couple episodes that this was a days old feud, but even the emotion that they tried to show, or like the point where MJF was like biting him and stuff like that, it seemed very produced. Like it seemed very fake. And I understand what we are talking about. We are talking about pro wrestling. It is a show to a point, but it seemed very much like they were like you said, it seemed forced. Everything they seemed like they were doing seemed forced. Although I did like the brainbuster finish.
Yeah, the finish was pretty cool. I don't know. I wanted more out of this match. I was excited for this one. I thought we were going to finally see him really go for it. I wasn't overly impressed with the Roosh match that MJF had when he came back. So, I mean, it was fine. I know he's more talented than what I've seen. I just want to see that more talent. I will say we both got this one correct. We both picked MJF. If you've done any kind of predictions and you didn't choose MJF, I don't know what you were thinking. I feel like this was one of the easier ones to figure out throughout this whole card. Though there were a couple surprises, specifically, at least for us, the Elite versus Scissor Race, which was the next match. We both got incorrect. This was not a match that I was overly excited to watch. I really did like the epic feud that we have here, for going back to the New Japan days, and that when those two guys were in the ring together, I think you could see a little bit of the magic. But then anytime the Acclaimed and anytime the Bucks were in there, I'm like, man, this is just kind of weak.
I will say this. I knew I wasn't gonna going into this. I knew I wasn't gonna be as into this match as maybe some people were. Um, but Anthony Bowens is really smooth. I don't
Mhm.
know if you caught wind of that, but not the not rapper of the Acclaim. For any of those who don't know the difference, there's Max Caster, who is the son of a former New York Jet, actually, but he's the one who always raps on his way to the ring. And then the other member of the Acclaim is Anthony Bowens. It shouldn't surprise me as much as it did, but Anthony Bowen's moves were really smooth, and I was watching I started becoming more of a fan of him just by himself during this. One of the notes I made, and I hate that I'm going to bash Tanahashi, but I'm going to bash Tanahashi a little bit. He moved like he was too
He
old.
was slow, man. Like
He
he looked
moved
like he was
really slow.
hurting.
Like he was showing the wars that he's had in the ring. Like you could see, like even when he was running and stuff, he had like this straight up and down run. That's the sign of like an older dude that's hurting. And I'm not trying to bash him for hurting, and it's more the fact that you were in there with a bunch of younger guys, and like we needed you to be in the match, and it seemed like he was a little slow. I will say that Okada acting like a DJ was something that I never knew I needed in my life, but I'm kind of okay with it now.
I always mix up the Jackson brothers here. The one that put the headphones on, was it Nicholas? Put
I
the
think
headphones
so.
on and then made fun of the crowd because he couldn't hear him. That spot made me giggle. That was good. But I don't know. Like I wanted more out of this match. I didn't expect more out of this match, and in all honesty, with this one, I kind of was regretting watching Findor at all after the first two matches. I'm like, I got another like 3.5 hours. I can't do another 3.5 hours of this. Luckily
Exactly. And
enough,
it
God,
did pick up after this. I have a note here that says that this match was filled with bad humor. It's really what it was. Although directly after that, they had another series where Bowens went to town again, and I just wrote Bowens is really smooth again. I'm still not overly impressed with Okada. I don't know. I think it's just I'm never gonna be a huge Okada fan.
mhm.
There, and I'm not trying to bash on him. I'm not trying to naysay Okada. I don't think I'm an Okada guy. I don't. I think again, maybe it's just because they're trying to do bad comedy with him now, and I think I don't dig on bad comedy a lot of times, and he didn't impress me all that much in Japan, and I realized that that's blasphemy to some people, but he wasn't my cup of tea in Japan. I have it marked that Okada wins with a Rainmaker at 13 minutes flat for this. Luckily, the first two matches at least were relatively short for what we thought were
Sure,
going to be happening. Because I
they
really thought
felt
that
an
all these,
eternity.
oh my, yeah, I felt every minute, every second of those 13 minutes though.
But luckily enough, we're not in for long because the next match we had was Dragon versus Dragon,
Yes, and it
and
did not drag at all. See what I did
not
there?
at all. This match completely turned me around, and this is the reason why I was upset that Bleacher Report stopped the feed, because I really got into this card right with this one. I absolutely love this match. This match was really good, and at the time, it was the best match of the night. I'm still not sure which one I think was the best match of the night, but this one definitely is up there. The throughout this match, Takagi, I hope I'm saying that right.
Kachi.
He swayed me to his side. I went into this not knowing much about him, clearly rooting for Danielson. And the more the match went on, the more I was like starting to slink over to Takachi's side, because I want to see more of him. I want to see him in this Owen Hart Cup and potentially making a real push for it. I thought that would have been really cool. And then like Danielson would do a bunch of things, and I would go back to the other side. No one sells an injury like Danielson does, like with all the cup marks he has on his back, and kind of feeling like he's being held together by that rock tape, not just keeping him
I don't know
healthy.
if that's selling so much as I don't know if that's selling so much as he's really just falling apart at this point.
Well, the spot is like clearly so, like no one sells an injury like that one, but like with all
Exactly.
of that together, I thought was fantastic. This match was great. It had everything that you wanted in it. There was a bunch of near falls and a bunch of other exciting spots, and I really enjoyed it. And we both had Danielson winning this match, and we were both right. So through 3 matches, we're tied. Anything you want to add about this match, Steven? I know you got your
So
notes over there.
I do have my notes. There was a dive that they said it seemed like a cover up. Like I know the announcer said that it looked like Danielson's foot got caught on the rope.
Yep.
I
It's when
don't
he
think
gets
it was
spiked.
so I don't. I almost halfway think that spot was planned like that though.
100%.
Like I don't know if it was to that point. Like I think he was supposed to come up short on that because
Yeah.
he did because if you look the way Takachi catches him, it's like kind of almost planned like the way he caught him. Which I'm not bashing this. I actually love that spot
Yeah.
because the next thing he did was that was when he put him up on the apron and he hit that neck breaker off of it. And I was
Yeah.
like,
When he spiked him.
yeah,
And that's where he sells the neck and they have the doctor come over and all that stuff. All of that stuff I feel like was planned in that situation.
exactly.
It was it's one of two things here, Stephen. Either it was a fantastically planned spot, or Takashi on his game gets up, does the right thing, and everyone follows suit. So it's
Exactly.
it's either he's so good that a bad move you don't even really notice it, or it was a planned spot. I think AEW does this a lot though, where there's a few botches or whatever you want to call it, air quote botches, but they're meant to be botches where they do something kind of a little awkward to be able to spin something around quickly and recalibrate. I think they do that stuff on purpose to make it feel more real, make it seem more real. Like, you know what? Every so often when you're diving through ropes, you're going to catch your foot
You're gonna
and you're
catch your
going to
foot.
pay for it. And that's the way I walked away thinking that. I didn't think that was one of those spots where Danielson messed up. I think it's one of the things that he perfectly messed up, like in a play. So
That's
like,
kind of what I said. Like I think he was supposed to come up short anyway, and it just so happened that from him trying to do it short, he caught his foot. So I don't think it was a mess up as much as it was a happy accident.
but
That
even
had
like just putting your foot down instead of having it up stops you, and Takaji was right there. Honestly, if he goes
I
through that rope cleanly, he probably overshoots him.
so I had I want to word this right. I have one issue with the whole match, and again, I'm nitpicking on this one because the match was so good. And it's not so much that I had an issue with this match as I have an issue with this move in general, and that's the triangle choke. I hate wrestlers doing the triangle choke in matches,
Interesting.
and I actually have a reason for this. Is the majority of the way it's done, and I'm not saying that they're doing it wrong or anything like that. I'm not. This isn't me coming at it from a jujitsu background. This is me looking at the move and looking at the rule set of pro wrestling. There's two things. One, in the word is the word, or in the term is the word choke. So you're already choking somebody. It's already a situation where you can say, well, it's not a strangle, so it's not illegal. Okay, I got you. But the move itself involves you laying flat on your back. You are doing the move and being pinned. That is
And they
more where I'm
never
going with this.
counted them. There was
No,
so
and
many spots throughout this thing that the ref never went for a count, and it
no,
drove
and
me
and during
absolutely
that
bonkers.
triangle, Brian Danielson's shoulders, both his shoulders, are on the mat. That's a
Perfectly
pin.
flat.
Perfectly flat. So again, this isn't an issue I have with the match as much as this move in any match, because it happens all the time. So
Let me
I realize I'm nitpicking this specific match for it, but the fact of the matter is this is one of those things where they could have had a really cool pivot if the ref started counting his shoulders down.
let me ask you a question here, Steven. What's the like? I get the I'm 100% with you on the pinning side. I think it was driving me nuts. Where like there was a point where with Takagi goes to pick up Danielson, and he starts by like at least a 2 count on the mat as he's trying to muscle him up. But
So that
so
was
when
this
you
spot. That was the triangle.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like that. Like
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. The part that I'm curious about is the choke aspect of things. With the triangle choke, what's the difference between this and a sleeper hold? Like I know
Okay.
that the move itself, but like
So
the fact that
that's
you're trying
where
to asphyxiate somebody.
that's where you can make the argument that it's a legal move.
Okay.
So the problem is that they say the word choke. There's a difference. A choke is, so when they say the word choke, it makes it sound like it's a legal move. In pro wrestling, technically a choke, I'm making air quotes for anyone who's just listening to us, should be legal, because a sleeper hold is an act where you're actually cutting off, allegedly you are cutting off the carotid artery, and and that is where the choke of it comes out of.
Mhm. And there are like
Whereas
people use rear naked chokes.
exactly,
That's a
so
move people use.
exactly, or like I think that's why they started calling them clutches and things like that. But the fact of the matter is that is the difference between, if you were to cut off the airway itself, the actual airway, that is when it becomes what is known as a strangle. So if
Mhm.
you so this is where I'm getting into more of the MMA jiu-jitsu background of it. If you were to just walk up to someone and cut off their esophagus, that is a strangle. A choke is what a triangle does, and you're essentially cutting off the airways by cutting off the blood flow, which is not an illegal move. And that's where I have a little less of a problem with the triangle choke being used as a choke. I have more of a problem with it being the pin,
Yeah,
or
I'm with you.
not having a
I,
pin.
I'm fully with you on the pin side of things because, like, again, it was driving me bonkers. But I wanted to clarify, particularly for those people out there, because if I'm a little confused, then certainly the listeners are. And I wanted to see kind of where you drew the line, since you did throw shade at the fact that it's a air quotes choke.
A choke. And I
Yeah,
get that technically, like you said, a rear naked choke is there's not much difference between a rear naked choke and a sleeper hold
it's
other
got the
than the
word right
name of
there.
it.
Yep.
But
I think
overall,
it's
I love
fantastic.
this match.
I have another question for you on this match before we move on.
Okay.
This match is this match better than Danielson versus Ospreay?
No, no. I
Because
don't think it's better. I think it's as good.
I'm compiling for myself a match of the year list, and because I want to be able to say what I thought the match of the year is, and I think there are 2 matches, actually 3 matches potentially on this show that are in consideration for match of the year, in my opinion. Uh, and so one of which is that Danielson versus Ospreay match. The other one, if you've been listening, you can clearly guess it's Becky versus Rhea. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a women's match of the year and a men's match of the year or just overall match of the year, but this one I have to go back and rewatch them, but I remember enjoying this one so much. Like I had mentioned, I went back and forth over who I wanted to win. I wasn't really quite sure who was going to win at certain points. Like they had me kind of suspending that disbelief. And after like recency bias, I understand it's a thing. After finishing it, I was like, that might have been better than Osprey versus Danielson. So I want to know what your opinion on it does because I was like surprised on how much I like this match.
I'd have to go back and watch Danielson versus Osprey again and rewatch this. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's better. And again, recent like you said, recency bias. I think there's a real good chance that it's just as good.
It's Dragon versus Dragon.
So this was a 20-minute match, 20 minutes even. This match went to, and Danielson wins it by submission, technically by referee stoppage.
I heard it was verbal. Was this a verbal submission?
That's what they're trying to say. It almost seemed like they tried to sell Takachi as passing out momentarily too. So they didn't show his face, so you couldn't see the tap. Yes, I'm tapping out. So if they're gonna say verbal, I'll go with verbal. If they're gonna say that, so we'll go with that one.
The thing that I don't like the idea of referee stoppage in this match particularly. I like it in general. This match, because if you're gonna stop this match on the behest of Danielson had multiple moments where the ref could have ended this match because he was too hurt, because he was overselling that neck, where he couldn't go on, where he barely got it when the doctors had to be come out. And then for them the ref to make that decision to end this match, I think it sours the taste a bit. But if he quits verbally, I mean he quit. That match is over. I don't think the ref had any business stopping that unless he was out cold, and I thought it was just too early in that move for him to be out cold in that situation. So that's my only disagreement with that statement, because I do think it makes a difference.
I do agree with you. That's the thing is, if they said verbal stoppage, we'll go with what,
and I was cool.
We'll go with what they said.
Yeah,
we'll go with what they said. All around though, good match. Hard hitting, good selling. Everything was pretty good. I like that they have a somewhat different style, though a very similar style. You got to see the difference between Takachi being kind of a thicker guy and Bryan Danielson doing a little bit quicker of a move set. But let's move on from that. I think to
the next one. This is like the best match kind of row, these three matches in my opinion, because after being so disappointed in the first two, this match crushed it. And then Toni Storm versus Mina Shirakawa was absolutely amazing. Maybe I oversell a little bit there, but I like coming out of this match, I also started thinking, I'm like, was this better than Becky versus Rhea? I think I've come down a bit where I don't think it is, but it was damn near close. This was a great match. I can't tell you, every time I see Toni Storm wrestle, the more I like her. The Mina was fantastic. I have zero experience with her whatsoever from her Japan.
I have zero experience with her Japanese stuff, but I will tell you the stuff she's done in AEW so far. I'm a Mina fan. Yeah. I've become a fan of Mina Shirakawa now.
And it's not just because the triple kiss at the end. It was because this was a fantastic match.
So I have this to say. I appreciate two things about Mina. One, first off, she is actually a very good wrestler. I appreciate that she is as good as she is. This is going to sound almost sexist, but I appreciate also that she's self-aware that she's kind of TNA. You know, like she knows she's hot or like a cute girl, and she plays it. Like she plays off that fact that she's this cute little Japanese girl. And I'm not real mad that you're self-aware about the hand that you were dealt. But also, you're an amazing wrestler on top of it. I'm not taking her wrestling ability out of this. What I'm saying is she is smart enough to know that she's also this. And that and the two of those things combined make her like that can take you to a different level than just being a good wrestler or being a cute girl.
Yeah,
Like since she's
I would put it.
like she's very self-aware of what she is in the world, and she plays the character the right way.
Yeah, I would put it slightly different. Not to say that you're wrong, but like to save my own face in this, the is she plays kind of a flirty character, right? Like that's
Flirty. Well, she's admittedly a model in Japan,
yeah,
like,
and
and
like
she
that's the
plays every aspect of
yeah,
that.
and like using your assets in a way that you would like to
No pun
in this.
intended.
No, it was. Did you see the big smile? That was not listening. And I thought that the matchup between these two worked well. We mentioned it on the main show how I thought that the build for this match was great. Mariah May being in neither corner and then not picking sides at the end was far better than her taking either side. Like that was so cool. Like bitches, I'm not going to choose between you. I'm going to have you both. Like that was fantastic. The one thing walking away from this thing, I wanted
I
to
know what
thank.
you're gonna say, that you're so mad.
No.
I know
Obviously, I'm not happy that she used the fisherman and they get kicked out.
Fisher person
Yeah,
suplex.
but like if you notice, they call it the fisherman. They don't call it the perfect plex. Like when they call Damian Priest the Razor's
The
Edge,
Razor's Edge.
it's not the Razor's Edge. Stop it. But I'm actually going to say the exact opposite of what you're saying right now. Is I think that we all need to take a beat and thank Tony Storm for putting a little bit of respect on the pile driver, because it's very few have I seen people kick out of this pile driver. It's a cool, sharp looking pile driver. It's not like the I'm gonna sit here, hang, wait for it. It's a almost like a snap pile driver, if that's the right way to kind of call it. I absolutely love it. I think that she does the move the respect it deserves. And like I feel like this, like if we were doing this podcast 20 years ago, this is what I would be saying about if someone did this with the DDT. Like this is the type of move that I think should be a protected move within the industry, the pile driver itself. And I think that people got a little too lackadaisical with it. And so Tony Storm, thank you for that, because I think this is the right way to do it. You do it perfectly, and I enjoy every second of it.
So I have a couple things I want to bring up that I love about this match. Because I know we're gushing about this match. This sounds very much like WrestleMania again with Rhea and Becky.
I compared it to it. I think it's like, in my opinion, with the women's matches, this is a clear number 2 match of the year.
I think this is probably the best women's match that AEW's put on this year.
100%, I think. There's some other ones that compete with it. They all just happen to have Tony Storm in it.
I'm gonna say this. I wanted them to do this in Danielson and Takachi, and they didn't. And then they did it in Tony versus Mina. And that was, did you notice how much they worked that lockup in the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Like they made like I love when you work a lockup and you make it a test of like this is an actual test of aggression. Like you can make this be a situation where you're asserting dominance one way or another, and neither one of them could get it. I love the fact that, kind of very similar to Danielson and Tagachi, you had Mina's speed versus kind of Tony's size. She's a visibly larger woman than Mina is, and they play it off onto that, and you saw a lot of.
She throws those hips, man. Those hips are devastating. Like I don't know why more women don't use the, like they do the kind of like the full on butt smushes or whatever. Like I know Nia does that stuff. But like that hip comes in so hot and so hard that I'm like shocked that anyone can get up with it. Their heads always snap back hard. It's a great looking move. Like I don't know how much it hurts to take in that situation, but it's a solid strike.
How about Mina hitting one of your favorite moves during this match? The figure 4 on the post.
Oh, yeah. I popped for that pretty hard because you don't ever see that. Though, of course, the ref wasn't counting them out when they were out there doing that, but whatever.
No, I'm going to defend an AEW referee for once. They weren't counting outside the ring. he counted her for being in the ropes.
No, I get that, but he should have been counting them for being outside the stuff to begin with. So.
I understand, but I'm gonna give him. I'm trying to give some flowers. I'm trying to be nicer to AEW, especially since I did love this match so
This
much.
match was great.
Mina working the knee the way she did was just awesome. Like, she did so much cool stuff. And was it Mina? I think it was Mina. She hit an electric chair into an F5,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the middle of the night when I was watching this, and I popped. Like, I stood up in my office to like I can't believe this happened. We get Tony winning this match at 11 minutes and 40 seconds.
That's all this was.
Honestly,
it was 11 minutes.
You get a lot more. The match itself was 11 minutes 40 seconds. The entirety of the segment was probably longer. I would have liked this match to be a little longer, honestly. This is one of those matches that if this match had gone 15-20, I'd be a happy camper.
The Tony's entrance was fantastic. Her coming out as the Statue of Liberty against the Japanese person. The theatrics were fantastic. There was a little clip a few months ago when I think a lot of people were giving AEW crap around storytelling, and Tony was like, "If you want storytelling, go watch a soap opera." And I always thought that was the most ironic sound clip, because she's the best storyteller in AEW, and I think this just goes to show it, because I think she's by far the best storyteller in AEW. And
she absolutely is.
Her coming down in the Statue of Liberty headdress and in all the green. The only thing that I was disappointed was that she wasn't wearing the green underneath when she took the robe off, or whatever you call that, and she was wearing the white, because the Statue of Liberty inspired gear would have made me pop. And I was like, oh, I want to just keep the motif.
All right. Yeah, I don't have anything else for this match. I love this match, and if we keep talking about it, we can keep going back to this match. This is like Rhea Becky. We can keep going back.
It needed another 10 minutes for us to keep going back to it. But I will. So at this point in time, we are now each 3-1 from our predictions. We each got MJF correct, Danielson correct, Tony Storm correct. We both got Scissor Ace correct, but AEW didn't, so technically we didn't get it correct, because that's how predictions work. And so the next one we go into is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy, which was Steven's favorite match of the night.
I said going into this, I just want to state that I have said going into this that this match had so much potential to be good, and it ended up being good. That doesn't change the fact that I'm not a fan of them.
I'm not a fan, but I like their matches the best.
I liked this match. I have written down here, it looks like Zack Sabre Jr. put on a little bit of size too.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my critiques of him was he always looked a little bit too beanpole-y for me. And the fact that he looked a little thicker in this match really, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong on certain things. And the fact that he was able to put on, like, he's got a little bit of man size on this one, is it really helped him out with me believing that he's not just a guy who can do a move. He's a guy who should be doing that move.
Wrong? Wrong? What does wrong mean?
You don't know what that means, because you're always your name's right. I wrote that we got dark orange again, meaning like he came out in the dark denim and the black shirt and the thicker Ray-Bans, not the aviators.
Blood orange?
Blood orange, if you will. Yeah, is that what this is? That he'll be blood orange now? Just so you know, it was said here first. I wrote good chain wrestling to open the match.
It's great. Perfect pace. They were moving through the transitions of it really well. Orange Cassidy was wrestling back. I really enjoyed the pocket spots where Zack Sabre Jr. opened pockets for Orange Cassidy. I thought that was really funny. It's like, good. I dare you to put it in there. I also liked, it was just a cheesy little spot, but when Zack Sabre Jr. opens the ropes for Orange Cassidy to come back in the ring,
And he
and he
rolls
rolls
under it.
under it, like I'm not taking your help. Like I'm at it. Like that one I pop for as well.
ZSJ, Zack Sabre Jr. did it was a really cool move. He like wrapped his ankles around Cassidy while he was flat on his back on the mat, and he like did like a neck crank with it. It was really, really cool. I'd never seen him do it before. I don't know. But again, he's had so many matches in Japan. He could have done it. I know he's one of those guys who likes to have different matches a lot. I have this at 16 minutes and 20 seconds. Zack Sabre Jr. winning with what I can only describe as a super submission.
A super submission?
Super submission.
It was two moves in one.
But it was like 5 limbs were taken apart. He had both his arms, both his legs, and his neck all cranked up. And I'm like, yeah, he's gonna have to tap because, well, he can't tap. Yeah, like you can't move.
Verbal submission.
Again, I thought this match was good. I thought this match was really good. The matches that Orange Cassidy has like this, I think they get me annoyed because I just don't like the hands in the pocket gimmick just in general.
It's great.
So I don't know if it maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. I think they are finally moving him away a little bit from just all around not caring, which if that's what they're doing, I'll be happy with it because he can wrestle and he is athletic. And I think that's one of those things is I don't hate Orange Cassidy. I hate the fact that up until like a year into AEW, he had never locked up with somebody. Yeah. And he had never done this stuff. Like, I want him to be able to show that he can wrestle.
The Trent Beretta storyline proved that Orange Cassidy cares, right? Like it broke that mold of him not caring about anything. Like Trent Beretta proved to the world that Orange Cassidy does care. So now he has the ability to be blood orange.
Oh, blood orange.
I did say last week that I took Orange Cassidy and I was at liberty to change that pick because this was one of the harder ones. Unfortunately, I didn't. So Steven has officially taken the lead in the predictions. How's it feel, Steve? You're ahead by 1 now. Does it feel like and it's gone because as we go and it's all gone
and it's over.
So we're gonna move on to the learning tree and Jeff Cobb versus Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata, which Steven took the learning tree. I took Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata, and not to rush the end, but the Judas effect that Hook hit on Jericho was absolutely fantastic. But the best part about this is it proves Jericho right, and get ready for this. For the next one where he talks about how the only reason Hook was able to beat Jericho is because he took his tutelage into consideration and used the lessons that the learning tree gave him to finally beat Jericho. And
thus we're all in the vortex.
That might be verbatim what he says. Because be ready.
I think that's going to be. It probably is.
But he also shouldn't have lost this match because during this spot, Samoa Joe was in the middle of the ring with a rear naked choke, not being counted out because anyone can go in the ring whenever they want to in this match. The referee doesn't count any of those participants and tell them to get out.
I mean, was it FTW? So I will say this: my favorite part about
wasn't it
this match?
I don't think it was.
I don't think it was. But my favorite part about this match actually had nothing to do with the in-ring aspect of this whatsoever. But Taz's commentary on how much he hates Jericho having the title and Nigel McGuinness calling it the For the World title and
don't do that, bro.
Trying to. That's not the name, and you know it.
That. Don't bring it there. You know that. You know better than.
So it's like, I'm just trying to give you your flowers. That's the wrong flowers. When he said those are the wrong flowers, I cracked up. It was such a Taz line.
His blatant support for his son was fantastic because he obviously doesn't do that often, but he's blatantly rooting for Hook against Jericho. Like he always, obviously, everyone expects him to be rooting for his son. That's just what dads do. But in this one, how much he hates Jericho and Hook being there, he's like, and him just like giving Hook a standing ovation was fantastic.
I also liked, again, going back to commentary, I liked when Taz said when he had gotten AEW and he was putting together Team Taz in the beginning that Jeff Cobb was one of the names on his list of who he wanted and he just wasn't available, and or that it didn't work out, and that Joe at the time, because Joe was still signed to WWE at the time, was absolutely not available. Like, he didn't say why he wasn't available. He just said he wasn't available. I thought that was a really cool little insider detail about how good Jeff Cobb is. Honestly, my favorite stuff that I watched during this match was the Cobb versus Samoa Joe stuff.
And Cobb got a lot of ring time in this match. I was actually kind of surprised at how much he was out there.
He's the out of that team, he's the best one out of them.
I don't,
and I'm not saying this isn't me necessarily knocking Jericho.
Known.
It's the fact that exactly. So I'm not knocking Jericho in this one, in the sense when I say this, Jericho is old. He is. Like, he doesn't move at the same pace he used to. He can't put on the matches that he used to. He has to put on the matches that he's able to put on and make them work the way they work now. That's why even, like, yeah, can he hit a line salt? Probably. Can he hit the code breaker? Yeah. Can he do the walls and all that stuff? Yeah, he can hit his greatest hits. But can he wrestle like he did against Kurt Angle 25 years ago? No. No one can when you get to a certain age. And Big Bill isn't the in-ring worker that Jeff Cobb is. So having Cobb in there, one, it gives them a lot of chances to work with Joe, which having those two big bulls is awesome.
Sure.
The other side of this was I liked that the only time that you really saw like Hook take Jeff Cobb off his feet was he had to hit that flying clothesline thing on him. And like he sold it the right way. Like, oh, like I didn't see it coming, so he almost took my head off with it. But the match was good.
Better than expected. That's my.
The match was better than expected. I will go with that one. Better than expected.
The one thing I also really thought was funny in this is if you listen throughout the show, the commentary team are really digging into Taz about what happened with Jordan Grace. I don't know if did you see this, Steven, that on Twitter or on X, Jordan Grace used one of Taz's lines, like "Survive if I let you," and she was paying homage to him. It sounded like after the fact, but he kind of may or may not have overreacted and told her that it was copyrighted and he might get lawyers involved.
So he does that a lot, though. Like, yeah. That's the same thing. Like that's why he gets mad when like other people are wearing orange.
Yeah, well, they were giving him shit for was Zack Sabre
Jr. wearing orange.
And they were like, he's wearing orange. You're gonna get those lawyers out. And Taz, like, I'm not trying to throw Taz on the bus. They did enough to him throughout the show. I just wanted to call it out here because I thought it was funny at how much they were kind of making fun of him for that happening, and like blatantly and like over and over. They were beating a dead horse by the end of it.
They absolutely were. I love Taz on commentary, though. I always have.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
So we are now again tied with. We're 4-2. Each of us are 4-2. I wonder how this is going to end up. Steven, do you finally beat me in the pay-per-view? Because we have essentially one more pick that is not the same. Because when we started all this, there was 3 picks that were different. That's not a spoiler. That was from the prediction show. So if you didn't listen to that, that's on you. The next match was the TNT championship ladder match where there
The
was
Jamokin
a
match.
ton of Jamokin, but
So much Jamokin.
a couple really good spots, and a incredibly too over Takeshita within this match, who's supposed to be a heel, but everyone in Long Island wanted him to win this match. Steven, what'd you think about this match?
Lot of
A
Jamokin.
lot of Jamokin.
Lot of Jamokin.
Though I did like
I'm
when
hoping
four
that
ladders got thrown at each other.
I'm hoping that the injury that Dante Martin was selling was just him selling an injury.
I think it was.
I think so too, especially since they let him like still do like really big spots with it.
Yeah. He's not doing the spots that he did with a broken leg.
No. So this match went 16 minutes and 55 seconds.
Do you know what I'm most disappointed about this match? Is it happened a week before Money in the Bank. So we have a multi-man tag match, multi-man ladder match. The week before, I'm going to get 2 multi-men and women ladder matches. Like it's just too many, and I feel like what happened to make it that every ladder match is a TLC match?
I said that I don't mind gimmick matches, but like okay, you're doing the ladder, but why is I understand if you fall off the ladder and go through a table, like if you were to fall off the ladder and go through the announce table, let's say, that's not a disqualification. But if someone set up a table and throws you through it, that maybe should be a disqualification. Like it's not a weapons match. It's a ladder match.
I get there's no DQ. There are no DQ matches though. It's like it's a triple threat match. It's
but again, we've had this conversation. Why are they always no DQ matches? Like why aren't they just like this is the gimmick?
Because I get this one more than the triple threat match, because the fact that you can use a ladder, like where do you draw the line? You need to be on the outside, so to be counted out while trying to get a ladder feels a little aggressive. So
I understand them not doing having it be a no count out match, and I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more rule institution in this. One of the things that I did not like, and I know I texted you this while I was watching it, was Mark Briscoe went up to do the froggy elbow through a table or whatever, and he had the ladder set up on the ring apron, and the ref actually held it for him. And I was like, and I'm like, come on, man, like, don't do that. Like, if you can't do the move, don't do the move.
Don't do the move, yeah.
Don't do the move. Just don't do it. And I like Mark Briscoe, so this is not me bashing Mark Briscoe. This is actually me bashing the ref a little bit more for it. Like, and it's one thing if the live crowd can see it, but like the camera is dead on him. It is so clear. Like you just see the ref put his arm on it. I'm like, at least don't show the ref in the shot. Like you can pan out enough to just show Mark Briscoe.
But Mark Briscoe had one of the spots of the night when he ran off the chair and then swantoned into a ladder into Takeshita through a table, which was just a banana spot. And my actual favorite, probably spot of the entire show, was Takeshita's Thunder Bomb through the double table. Fantastic!
I did like that.
Like that looked so good, so crisp. He crushed. Was it Leo Rush that he put through it? I'm not sure exactly. Yeah. It looked fantastic. It was great. It was the moment that I realized that Takeshita wasn't going to win, which I was still obviously a little disappointed about. And then to give some flowers to Jack Perry in this match as well. I think he played the heel really well, like trying to hide, coming in opportune moments. I thought those really worked well for me when he was doing it. Though, kind of disappointed he won because everyone knew he was going to win. We picked him to win. But at the end of the day, I didn't want him to win. Because I think
I want Takeshita to win. I want Takeshita to win this.
I thought the temper tantrum from Jungle Boy is more entertaining than him being champion.
I mean, we've been saying it for months though. Like ever since you guys kind of came along with it after the Will Ospreay match, but I said going into that Will Ospreay match that I like Takeshita, and then we saw that match, and like since then, Takeshita just consistently puts out good work.
All of Long Island was behind him.
All of Long Island. I don't
I'm like,
know
that doesn't
how you
happen.
feel about that, but
Well, do you know what they weren't behind? Was Mercedes Moné.
CEO, yeah, they were
Uh,
not behind the CEO.
though I am fully in the camp. For those of you not in the New York, New Jersey, tri-state area, that was 100% Boston hate, not Monet hate, because it's well known that she's a huge Celtics fan, and they were chanting, you know, F the Celtics, F the Red Sox, while they were
F
booing her.
Boston.
Yeah, F Boston. So like it was more shots at Boston than her and like her skills. So I don't think that the fans were turning on her. I think that the next week, if she goes to a different place, they're not going to be booing her. So, but this, I thought this match was great, and I think that Stephanie Vicura, she arrived in this match to me. Like, even though
I really like Stephanie Vicker. I thought this match was good. We said going into this on the preview that the two women's matches could very well be the best wrestling matches, and I don't think we were entirely wrong.
no,
Like don't get me wrong, Zack Sabre Jr., Orange Cassidy, really good wrestling match. Bryan Danielson, Shingo Takagi, really good wrestling match. But I mean, there was nothing about the Mercedes and Stephanie match that was wrong. Like they didn't do anything wrong. I definitely liked the Tony Storm Mina Shirakawa match a lot more.
I thought it was way better. And not to
I
take
thought
away from this match, but I just thought the other match was really good.
this match once again proved to me though why I don't like that moneymaker finisher that she does. It's still like I like the fact that this went right into the I don't know what she's calling it now, but it used to be the bank statement.
Yeah, I think that it's still called the bank statement. I think.
It's probably still called the bank statement. Either way, it's a crossface. It's basically a version of the crossface. I liked that they brought up that Vakor did a different grip on the crossface than Monet does because they were talking about the difference between an S grip and a gable grip, and they are right. If you do a gable grip where you're not just locking your fingers and you're locking your palms and you get your thumbs out of the way, you can't break that grip.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that they brought little things like that up. Stephanie Vicura was awesome in this match. Awesome. She did a lot of cool stuff. I think we've talked about this that Mercedes Moné, just because she's a little smaller, it's always a little harder to look into it the right way sometimes. Sometimes I know I bring up the aesthetic of wrestling a lot of times, and I think that's the aesthetic of her is she's a smaller girl, where Stephanie Vicure looks much more athletic about her. She has that thickness of and when I say thickness, I don't mean that she's Willow Nightingale or Nia Jax. I just mean she's got a little bit more meat as far as muscle goes and stuff like that.
Let me ask you a question here, Steve. I want to challenge you a little bit, if you don't mind. Why do you think is an issue with Monet? Because I'm with you. Because I think it is an issue where she just seems so small that she can't do some of the things that she actually does, and like that it drives me nuts. Why is it an issue with Monet, but it's not with Becky?
So I think it is an issue with Becky.
Okay.
If you recall though, when we I don't know if it was back in Mania or just before Mania or just after Mania. It was around the Mania time though. It was around the Rhea match. I know that. You and I had the conversation, and I don't know if we had it on the show or you and I had it off the show on the phone with each other, but I know we had this conversation that I felt that since Becky has come back from the baby, she has been almost too thin. And I feel bad saying that, knowing that after reading her book and listening to her book, that she has a background with an eating disorder. So I hate saying it like that.
And we're not body shaming. We're not doing any of that stuff.
I'm not body shaming.
That's not what our intention is on what he's talking about.
No, I'm not trying to do that. I don't want to sound like that guy. What I'm saying is before she had the baby, And when she first started the man gimmick, I felt that she had a lot more. She seemed like she had more muscle on her. It seemed like her legs were a little thicker, her arms were a little thicker. And I'm not saying she's maybe not even as strong as she used to be. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is the aesthetic, the look of it makes her look, even like her gear almost looks like it doesn't fit the same way that it used to. And I know that was part of it. That's why I remember having that conversation with you. So I'm not saying that I don't hold Becky in the same regard. What I will say is I think Becky gets a little bit of a pass because at the end of the day, I think Becky cuts a better promo. And I think it gives her a little, maybe not always in my eyes, but it gives her a little bit of, hey, Becky has that voice about her where it's the Irish voice and it's got a little bit, not to say she sounds manly, but it has a certain tone to it. Like it's got like this, like she sounds like she's serious when she's in there. Where Mercedes, she sounds like she looks, if that makes sense. Like I've used that term for fighters before. Like I always say that Luke Rockhold, the MMA fighter, he fights the way he looks because he's a model and he fights that way. And it comes off as lazy sometimes. Where Mercedes, I'm not saying she's lazy, but her voice sounds like that's the voice that should be coming out of her body.
Okay.
So I think it's just her being a little smaller. I also think some of the stuff that she does because she is smaller is part of the reason why she gets injured as often as she does.
And then blames Willow.
Yes.
All in all, I thought this match was good. I really enjoyed this one. I put it probably right underneath, like so far, right underneath that trio of matches that I thought was like the heart and soul of this pay-per-view, because I thought that those 3 matches were fantastic. This one fits right in there. I thought the ladder match was good, but again, like I'm just a little TLC now. I just wish it was a ladder match and nothing else.
It's a lot of Jamokin. Also, so this match went 17 minutes, and we get the return of Britt Baker, DMD. I know Mr. Showtime. Britt has not, Dr. Britt Baker, she has not been around pretty much since you've come back into the fold.
Correct. These
Britt Baker is an actual dentist.
These returns are quite lost on me because I'm like, oh, there she is. Oh, do we know each other? No, but there you are.
There it is. So Britt Baker is the girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever we happen to be of now of Adam Cole. She's his baby, if you will, baby. She is a legitimate dentist, so the DMD thing is real. Like she actually has a dental practice. Weird.
It checks.
But yeah, but it's a very
was
cool.
Once a dentist.
That is true. Was he really though? But so we get that return. There was no promo to go along with it. It was just a nice little come out and
a tease.
Hey, just to let you know, I'm gonna.
Monet, here's who's next.
Yep, here we go. I guess we know who Mercedes is facing in Wembley.
And then so we both had Monet in that one. I thought that was so obviously going to be in Monet. Our next match was Jon Moxley versus Tetsuya Naito. And this is the last match that we chose differently, Steven. This is your opportunity to beat
I chose wrong.
in a PLE.
I chose wrong.
First time.
I chose wrong. I will admit this. I said this. I said this when we looked at the results before we came on the air, and that was I didn't look at all the factors leading into this match, and that was that Moxley beat Naito originally for the IWGP title, and he did it in Chicago, so he didn't win it in Japan. And this is Naito's version of getting poetic justice. So everything that happened with this match makes sense. This match went 17 minutes and 5 seconds. with a very, very weird ending. Like the way they did the way they tried to get to the move was just off. You could tell that, like, I think they talked about it and like this was what they wanted to do, and then they would realize when they got there that, like, oh, maybe we should have tried this before we tried this. Is kind of what it seemed like. Um, I didn't hate this match. I didn't love this match. It just, this was a
It's
match for
fine.
me.
I,
It was
I think
fine. It was
I think Naito should have been faster. I think he has the speed for that. I think Moxley was just Moxley, not running through the motions, but like doing a Moxley match.
so. I will say this. This goes along with what I said. Is, hey, Moxley lost the IWGP title. Him running through the motions. This gives you a chance to get that Shield back together to go fight the new bloodline. Again, I don't believe that this is going to happen. And if
Totally right.
if it does happen, it
Mo-
wasn't even just us that said it on the show. I
Moxley,
said it on the show.
Moxley still has another 11 years on this deal. He's not going anywhere.
11 billion years.
11
He's
billion.
got almost as much time left on his deal as Jericho does.
Almost. Yeah, this
I
match
don't have much
right.
to add to this match.
It was fine.
Yeah,
it was whatever. It was what it was. But
I said to you before you watched this match that I didn't think that you were going to be that into this match.
No, the thing I was
And
most
I
into
was
this
right.
match is that I picked it correctly and beat you again, Steven. For sure.
Yeah. I sit in the penalty box.
And then a match that neither of us got right because Tony usually is just being Tony is Swerve Strickland versus Will Ospreay. I want to learn the Prince Nana dance because it's fantastic. This match was great. I think this is a match of the year candidate, in my opinion, as well. I don't know if it's better than Ospreay Danielson. I'd have to go back and rewatch it. I haven't gotten to that part yet. But this match was fantastic. Everything you needed from it. They were so fast in this match. Like they moved like none other. And then I really like the way this match ended with a nice little head tap from Swerve to Ospreay, like allowing him to come back a little bit more face, a bit more over. Ospreay losing was fantastic. It's exactly what should have happened. I didn't think it was going to happen, but it should have happened, and I'm glad that it did.
Neither one of us thought that this was going to happen, and I think that I think Ospreay should have lost this match. It's under the guise of what it should be. This is Ospreay losing a match to the world champion.
Mm-hmm.
There shouldn't be a disrespect spot on that, right? Like that should be like if you're 18-0 in 2024 and your first loss is to the world heavyweight champion, that kind of tracks, right? Like, so
this is where I disagreed with you on the main show, and I'll go back to it now. Is the fact that this I think is the start of Swerve's serious reign. And he might need a few matches to kind of get down this route. But I think that Swerve taking on Ospreay, putting him down the way he did, kind of giving him like that like big brother nudge, which was just a little bit cut and deep, adding salt to that wound a little bit for me. I think this is the beginning of it. If they would have put Will Ospreay over, Strickland is a mid-carder for the rest of his career. I think that the fact that Swerve wins and kind of decisively, I think this is fantastic for him. I think this is the start of some good stuff. I want to see him to start just kicking ass now.
So I don't disagree with you, but on the main show, how I said it was, I think it's going to take time still. Like you said, I agree with you in the sense that this is the start of it. I think it's going. When I said months, I don't mean like it's going to take till the end of the year. I mean like it's going to take a couple months before of more of this before we start looking at Swerve as the world champion that we should be looking at him as.
Mm-hmm.
He's the world heavyweight champion. He's the number one champion in your company. And he's been having 20-minute bangers with lower mid-card guys.
I think this is the start of that. So
I think this is the start. I think this goes to, like I said, when I say it's going to take it some time, I mean like September. We'll start looking at Swerve more like he's the champion that he should be. And I hate to say it, and that's if he's still the champion after Wembley. Because I don't know how Wembley's going to go or who's going to win that. Or again, this goes back to the Owen Hart tournament. I'm actually a little sad that going into this, the Danielson Shingo match, that's going to lead right into a semi-final match against Pac. And I really, really wanted, I wish I had looked at the brackets a little more closely. I really wanted to get Danielson versus Pac in the finals. But that's just me. All around, I thought the pay-per-view was pretty good.
It was good. I honestly think just those first two matches kind of did me in to begin with, but I thought it bounced back really well. I thought everything was great. Everything was either really good or better than I expected. So I can't really hate on that.
Which I'll give it to you this way, Showtime. We said that this was a long pay-per-view.
It was long.
It is a long pay-per-view. It's 4 hours, not counting the pre-show. And we keep saying that there should be like a comfortable medium between what the WWE does and what AEW does, like somewhere in the middle. I heard someone say today on a different wrestling talk show, and they said that if this was on Saturday, it might be a little different. No one, you're not working on Sunday, but the show goes off the air at like midnight or after midnight, and they, and that's a long show, and you have to, normal people go to work first thing in the morning. The average person, if you work at 9 to 5, that means you're probably up at 7 or 8, and you're doing your thing or whatever it is. Now, one of the jokes of it though was during the Swerve Strickland Will Ospreay match, Jim Ross actually says, "Oh man, if they keep going like this, they're gonna fight till Monday." And the joke is he said it at like 11:52.
Yeah.
So he only had like 8 minutes left until it was Monday. I think to go along with what you just said, aside from those first two matches, if you take those first two matches off, this becomes a 3.5 hour pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it seems perfect, right? Like you would get, even if you went in the same order now, and I know obviously having MJF on there is important, but if you went in the same order and you just cut off those first two matches, open the show with Bryan Danielson and Shingo Takagi, move to Tony Storm, get Zack Sabre, learning tree in the middle to kind of, I hate to say it, but bring it down a little bit, go to the TNT ladder match, Mercedes and Stephanie, Moxley and Naito, and Swerve and Ospreay. That's a nice tight pay-per-view.
That's great. But the Elite had to be on that card, even though no one wants to see them. And MJF had to be on that card, even though there was no build there.
There were no build. I think the problem with the MJF match was just that there was no build. Again, days and days of feuding.
But all in all, I liked the Forbidden Door. I thought it was a really solid pay-per-view. I think I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. Was there matches that you thought were fantastic? Ones that you thought they were lame? Ones that we liked that you hated, or vice versa? Tell us why we're right. Obviously, meaning me. Tell us why we're wrong. Obviously, I mean Steven. And I would love to talk to you guys more about it and see guys what you think. Outside of Takeshita not winning where I thought he should, I was pretty happy all in all. Steven, any closing words?
No, I thought it was a good pay-per-view all around. Next thing that we'll have for AEW is going to be Wembley, so we got some time for that.
All in,
baby.
Thank you guys for joining us again. Really appreciate you coming out and listening to us review this. Thank you for the support on the predictions one as well. Let us know if you guys like these shorter. It's an hour, but taking this out of our normal content and then making them their own things. If you like it better this way, we'll continue doing it. For that, we appreciate you guys more than you can imagine. Steven, give them a nice big kiss goodbye, and we'll see you guys another day.
Mwah.
Thank you all. We appreciate you.
Later.